This is Dream Power Radio, the place where your dreams turn into reality. Here is your host, Debbie Spector-Weissman.
Hello, and welcome to Dream Power Radio. I'm your host, certified dream life coach, Debbie Spector-Weissman. This is the place where we talk about dreams, both daytime and nighttime dreams, and how you can use them to make the internal shift to a life you love and rediscover the truth of who you really are. What are dreams really? Are they the stories we tell ourselves in the middle of the night? Are they desires yet unfulfilled that walk with us during the day? The ancient Toltecs believed we live a dreaming world all the time. So maybe it's a combination of both. Our dreams are us, and yet when we leave them on the pillow or do nothing to turn them into the reality we want, we lose the possibility of what I like to refer to as our dream lives. But when we do take action, the most amazing things can happen, some even life-changing. This was the case for my guest, Dr. Royce Fitts. Royce is a spiritual counselor and dream worker who has spent years helping others deal with their personal traumas. When he was faced with his own dark night of the soul, he did something about it by setting out on a journey to rediscover himself. He writes about this in his new book, The Geography of the Soul: Dreams, Reality, and the Journey of a Lifetime. And what he learned has profound meaning for all of us. Welcome to Dream Power Radio, Royce.
I am so excited to be with you, Debbie, and to all your listeners. This is a dream come true to be with you, as well as to explore these themes and to explore dreams.
Oh, very much so. Royce, one of the things that I love doing at this podcast is that I'm always learning something new. Taught me a new word that relates directly to your journey and what we're going to talk about. And that word is, and I hope I'm pronouncing it right, stravage. So tell me what it means and how that word affected you.
So first, I'm going to tease you because you and a million other people want to say stravage. And we want to make that end of the word a little smooth, a little French or so. It's actually a hard G. It's called straveg. And it's an old English / Scottish word. And it actually comes out of the Latin word extravagate. So it has, as all of us do, it's evolved over time. And for most of us, it's disappeared. And my happy experience in discovering this word has just, for me, it's like it's become one of my best friends.
Oh, that is lovely. But what happened when you heard this word? So it sparked something inside you.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to tell you just a tidbit of how I discovered this word. I was working with this very intelligent, well-read client who also had struggles in life. And at one point he came to me and he said, "Royce, I just got to be honest. I haven't been telling you the truth." And it's like, okay. I took a breath. I realized that his stories were not necessarily factual based, were also a part of his journey, his own spiritual existential journey. And that he also that these were, in a sense, his dreams. And when we did that, we shifted into some deeper, beautiful areas of his counseling. So fast forward a year or two later, I was getting ready to do what I now call my straveg. And I did not know this word, but I shared it with him, as I did with all clients, as I was preparing them that I'm going to be leaving my practice at that time. And when I said what I was going to do, go to England, I could take a long hike and reflect on my life, he, in his crippled state, gets up out of his rocker chair, leans on his cane, grabs my hand and shakes it. And he says, "You are going on a straveg." And I still get goosebumps, Debbie. Right now, it's like, what is that? And he proceeded to tell me that in the old world, especially in Scotland and in England, when the Scottish clans were demolished by the English oppressors, shall we say, that they were told to stay put. Their clan system was destroyed. But as we know, Scots, like all of us, have a soul, and many of them refused to stay put, to stay in that little confine of where they were sentenced. And they begin to defiantly wander with purpose as a way to express who they are. And that word inspired me about, wow, because Debbie, you referred to a dark time in my life. And it was like, what do I do? How do I reform, revitalize, rediscover who I am? And that word became an invitation for me to stravag, to wander defiantly with a sense of beauty and purpose.
Before you went on this stravag, though, did your dreams also help convince you that it was something to do?
So my dream world has been near and dear to my conscious heart for many, many years. In my practice as a psychotherapist and a spiritual counselor, and in my own personal life, I work deeply with dreams and understood dreams as a powerful invitation to explore how to live in the waking world with a sense of beauty and adventure. As you know, as the listeners know, dreams are weird and bizarre, sometimes embarrassing, and to take a breath and to be willing to set with the dream symbols, then they begin to help us and guide us. And yes, and so in answer to your question, dreams have been a part of my life. And as I worked on my own dreams, I began to realize I needed to do a waking dream and honor my sleeping dreams by taking this stravag into this part of England that I refer to in the book.
And you ask your readers to put themselves in your dreams. So why do you believe that your dreams have meanings to strangers who happen to pick up your book?
Well, it is fun if someone gets curious about my dream. So, that's the humorous way of looking at it. In my understanding of the dream world, I am very careful not to interpret other people's dreams, nor do I want them to interpret mine, because dreams are such an intimate and, as I've mentioned, sometimes very outrageous movie in our heads. And many, many years ago, I met a wonderful man, Jeremy Taylor, who was exploring dreams from the projective standpoint. And in that sense, when we share a dream with others, just in a real quick nutshell, we listen to the dream with curiosity and openness and non-judgmentalness. And then we ask the dreamer if we can, and these are my words, to borrow the dream. Let the dream become mine. And so in the projective process, we have a very gentle guideline or rule that says, if I talk about this other person's dream, I'm going to own it as mine. And so we use a phrase like, if this were my dream, that way the dreamer doesn't feel analyzed. And the dreamer gets to know me because I don't know what they mean by their dream. I know if I borrow the dream, I'm going to be exploring it in ways that lift up possible meanings for me. And then the dreamer gets to decide, yeah, Royce, that feels on target, or no, Royce, that's way off target. And yet in this communal conversation, we can explore the depths and magnitude of these dreams because they mean so many things. One dream can mean so many things. It builds intimacy and community, as well as understanding the symbols that the dream is lifting up.
Yeah, I mean, I remember a time when I was at an event and we were like a group of maybe about a dozen dreamers were asked to take a dream from the audience, help that see some understanding of what it was. And me being the newest dreamer of the bunch, I was like number 12. And so everybody's meetings, I get down to where I was like, can I get something else that nobody else is talking about? And I actually did.
Yeah.
I took one little part of it, said, well, maybe look at this part, see.
You had a whole group of dream cheerleaders with you.
Absolutely. And you also talk about the dreams that we have, that it's not just we have a one night and that we get an understanding of it and that's it. We have a dream that can stay with us for years and years and years. So talk to me a little bit about that.
Yeah, thank you for lifting that up. In the book, I refer to several dreams in which that has occurred. My understanding about dreams is that when they happen, they can become an eternal dream for us. And one of the dreams I'll share real quickly. I have theological background besides being a clinical psychotherapist. And when I was in one of my graduate schools, I had this dream, and it was while I was in counseling with my own counselor and working on issues and struggles and strains. And in the dream, I'm in this large auditorium, and it's very churchy and way up in the bleachers. And I stand up to speak because I feel like I had something to say. And so I start talking, but every time I talk, I start using profanities in this churchy location. And it was funny. And I was laughing, and people around me, and some of those were waking life professors at the time, and they were kind of laughing too. And it's like, oh, I'm sorry. Got to stop and try again. But I kept having these earthy words to say. Well, that dream was when I was in my 20s, probably mid 20s. And now, these many years later, as I carried that dream and it kind of formed and reformed with meaning, and it embedded itself in me. And it helped me understand how callings in life can shift and change, where at one point I thought I was supposed to be in this kind of rather conservative environment, that this dream was saying, no way, I've got to be more earthy, more in the flesh and blood of what life is about, where human needs are sometimes challenging and traumatic and also joyous and funny. And so that dream helped me remember that my calling, even though my theology changed a lot, my callings to focus on people's needs and to look for new ways to be with people in very earthy ways has come true more and more for me. That was like 35 years, 40 years ago. I don't remember how many years ago.
I'm saying the dream keeps going on. And
it's the gift that keeps on giving.
Your understanding of it now is different from what it was when you were in your 20s.
Oh, it is so different now. And I'm so grateful that you're inviting me to kind of reflect a bit. In dream world, time doesn't matter. And so time, as I view it, kind of folds in upon itself. So past is present, is future, is present, is past. All of this is kind of the same. And I'm so grateful for that dream, that in some ways it was kind of an invitation to a future that I had no idea I would ever have, as far as living out a calling, a kind of service to others, as well as healing in my soul.
Wow. Well, with that, we are going to take a short break. We are talking all about dreams and the journey of Dr. Royce Fitts, and we'll be right back. If you're not pleased with the trajectory of your life, the time to begin your own personal transformation is now, and your dreams can help pave the way. How? By tapping into your unvoiced confidence. What is unvoiced confidence, you say? It's the acceptance of your abilities and qualities. It's a state of mind coming from liking and even loving yourself, and feeling free to say or do anything you want without concern for the judgment of others. You were born confident, but may have had it chipped away little by the negative self-beliefs you've picked up over the years. If you're looking for the heightened energy, clarity of thought, and the feeling of being more alive that comes from self-confidence, you can rediscover it by paying attention to your dreams. Need some help doing this? Go to my website, thedreamcoach.net, and sign up for my complimentary dream discovery session. I can help show you how your dreams can help you return to the confident person you were always meant to be. Again, go to thedreamcoach.net, thedreamcoach.net.
Welcome back to Dream Power Radio with your host, Debbie Spector-Weissman.
Yes, welcome back to Dream Power Radio. I'm your host, Debbie Spector-Weissman, and we're talking about dreams with Dr. Royce Fitts. Well, Royce, you went on this walk, this journey on the Ridgeway Trail in England, and you describe it so beautifully, the days that you spend walking in the fields and climbing and the little towns and everything. It's just so beautifully written. But you spend so much time alone in nature. What is it about nature that helps us find our soul?
Oh, we can have hours of conversation about this, Debbie.
I'm going to get short.
Yeah, we'll reduce it to a few seconds. We are of nature. We don't just walk on top of nature or observe nature. We are of nature. And when we can deeply reflect on that, this is a time, this is when nature and you, nature and me, nature and us are aware of conversations, this kind of mystical appreciation and communion that we within nature can have. That is why I think in the larger world, there is much more focus psychologically on the environment and also in specific ways. Some of us may have heard of forest bathing, of becoming immersed within some beautiful setting and just be there. This is our natural state as humans, as life forms on this planet. And as we do that, there are chemicals and neurological responses within our body that seeks to heal us. So I experienced that on the Ridgeway Trail. I experienced that on the prairies, in the mountains, and sometimes sitting on my back patio, just feeling the sunshine.
It is a lovely image. Something that I'm all curious about. Were the dreams that you had on the trail different in nature from the kind of dreams you usually have?
I'm going to stutter because no and yes. One of the dreams I had on the trail, it was kind of like a past life experience. And while I look at that kind of dream metaphorically, or perhaps literally, it's the I don't knows, I was so invited by the trail, by the naturescape, and by the people that I met on the trail. I felt in kind of a synchronistic harmony there. And as I walked, so I would say that no, and that's because as I train and perhaps as we train ourselves to be attuned to the dream world, we also become more attuned to the natural world.
In many ways, you were forced to face your shadow side while you were on this journey. How did your dreams help you deal with it?
So I take a breath because our shadow sides are huge. And one of the things that stood out to me as I was doing this walk is my sense of aloneness in the world. And this walk, this straveg, this kind of defiant wandering, confronted me in a beautiful, gentle way about my aloneness, that all of us have to face. And when we can somehow allow that aloneness to help us love ourselves more and accept our space and place, then that can help us be more available to others. So this mystery that happens when we embrace ourselves healthfully, we can be more open to others in connection. So that's a part of how I feel like I've faced some of my internal shadows. Now, in a larger and very different and unusual way, after that Straveg in England and some of my writing, I also felt called to be facing a shadow that for me is the journey into our military world. And in that world, I became an off-the-record counselor for our U.S. military at various installations. I am not a pacifist. I am anti-military. And here, all of this money, all of these resources, and all of the goods and bads that we experience as citizens sometimes have been through our mighty military experience. And so in my conflicts, internal spiritual conflicts, it was like, I need to face that shadow within me as well as within our nation so that I can understand my yin and yang, my light and dark, as well as our nation's yin and yang, our light and dark. How can we be in all of this that we are? And what kind of dream does this invite us to have, both for ourselves as people and as a nation, and within our own deep soul searching as to how we are going to traverse Straveg with our nation?
Did you feel this calling, I guess you would call it, to work with counseling people in the military? Was that sort of your way of facing your shadow head on?
Yeah, exactly. It was a way because I had never done that. As I said, I'm not a pacifist and I am anti-military, and I'm from the 60s, and the challenge of authority and the Vietnam experience and the wounding and the struggles that we've all had. And it was like, this is a biggie for me. So yeah, it was a way for me to face, because I benefit from my nation, goods and the bads. You and I can have this wonderful conversation because there's this military umbrella that we live under. And as we know in our world outside of our nation, it's such conflict and such suffering. So how do I hold this strange waking life dream? So yes, I had to face my own shadow.
And when you were counseling these soldiers, do you help them with their dreams?
Oh, that's a great question. Oh, thank you. I get goosebumps. So I'm an off-the-record counselor, meaning, and it's very unique and very difficult to explain, but any soldier who comes to me knows they can talk to me off the record as long as it's not dangerous to themselves or others, or it's not breaking some huge law or military regulation. Military people need to know that they have that freedom. And so I'm a walk around counselor that they know they can come to me. So as we visit, as I get to know me, get to know this long gray-haired dude who's walking around who doesn't look military. And when they start trusting us, themselves and me together, they begin to share. And sometimes I'll ask them about their dreams. And they're the dreams of you. They're the dreams of me. They're very normal and bizarre because dreams are that way, normal and bizarre. But then they can start looking at how this dream may have, not may, but does have wisdom and healing for them. And the dream may be calling them with new awareness to something they're not aware of, as well as helping them cope with wounds that they've had. So there are occasions that I am so honored that a military member will say, "Hey, Royce, I've had this crazy dream."
Which ends up not being so crazy when they work with it. And I'm just trying to tell them.
It's well said, Debbie. They get to know that it's normal, to have crazy dreams. Yeah.
Absolutely. So at the end of your survey, with a recurring dream that has come to you from time to time, tell us about the dream and why do you think it came again at that point?
Wow. So the dream to which I think you're referring is the prison dream.
Yes.
And Debbie shakes her head. Yes. And, that dream, I don't know how many times I've had it. Let's say 5, maybe 10, maybe more, because I don't remember all of my dreams. The dream tends to come when I'm under major life change, except the dream is terrifying in the dream, and it has different forms sometimes, but generally I'm in prison and I am terrified. I'm going to be held. I'm going to go on trial. It's sort of like this could be a death sentence kind of episode in a dream. And I'm reaching out for help. I can't get any kind of help in this one dream. I'm wanting to talk to the attorney and I can't get a hold of the attorney. And so I'm trapped in prison. Okay. So I'm recalling this dream at the end of the book when I actually unlocking myself into a new freedom. And it was like the dream was saying, Royce, what you were in is no longer true. And this is a helpful reminder of how I can free myself by taking a stravag, by opening my heart, taking great risks, and leaving prison life behind. That dream is electrically charged.
Oh, it sounds it. I tell you, Royce, I can talk to you for hours. I've got a list of questions that we're not going to have time for, but I do have time for this one. How can we find out more about you and your work and your book?
So RoyceFitts.com, RoyceFitts.com. Just go there and you'll find out way more about me than you'll ever want to know. And I offer spiritual counseling and dream work. And my understanding of spiritual counseling is that this is a soul-searching journey we're on. And what are our heart's deepest values? How do we honor this? And my belief is through deep, intimate conversation and looking at dreams, we are going to understand this and find this and help to create a beautiful, meaningful, not painless, beautiful and meaningful and joyous adventure of life. And so the book, The Geography of the Soul, Debbie, as you so graciously pointed out, came out of this long hike I did in England and also a long life. And this is my invitation for us, all of us, to look at how we can create our own stravag, not just by hiking, by going into our own deep, undiscovered country that's within us.
Oh, wonderful. Well, Royce, thank you so much for being Dream Power Radio.
Oh, you're welcome, Debbie. Thank you. And thank your listeners. I thank them for giving us the time today. So blessings.
We've been speaking about dream work and the journey of a lifetime with Dr. Royce Fitts. I hope you've enjoyed today's program. If so, please hit that subscribe button so you don't miss out on any future episodes. Until next time, this is Debbie Spector-Weissman saying, sweet dreams, everybody.
You've been listening to Dream Power Radio with your host, Debbie Spector-Weissman. For more information on Debbie or to sign up for her newsletter, go to dreampowerradio.com. This has been Dream Power Radio.